we go. Welcome back to another episode, my lords and ladies and gentlemen. I hope this finds you well. I hope it finds you in a better place than the English weather is currently finding us. Shock horror. It is torrential rain and virtually disgusting outside. But with that kind of wonderful sentiment, we're going to have a look at something that is pushing us further and further down the 21st century rabbit hole, and that is the notion of chatbot interactions. And when I say interactions, it's becoming increasingly more popular for your AI chatbot to be considered a therapist, for it to be considered a meditation bot, for it to tell you how to work out, for it to provide you dating and relationship advice. And the studies are clear in terms of its feedback at the minute. We've cited some of the meta-analyses in terms of the group interactions that you can get to grips with, and we'll put a few of them in the description below when it comes out. But the clarity around this is that, like most AI services at the minute that provide that kind of conversation simulation, they're good for the minutiae. They're as in the smaller tasks, not minutiae in terms of nuance, but they seem to lose it when it comes to anything that could be considered a human-based interaction or grey area. The nuance of interaction is lost, and some of the fallout of offloading that we're seeing is going past cognitive offloading into almost interactional offloading of sorts. What's been your experience of the AI chatbots so far, Bob? Have you had much to do with them? Are you on speaking terms?
No, not at all. Very limited. Yeah, if I was to give my conversational position now, it's very away from this. Um, I think my age makes it very hard for me to get to grips with this, but I'm trying to get rid of those biases and look at it with an open mind. And I can see that strongly controlled, that a hybrid system of AI and human oversight could be acceptable. But I think what happens with anything, especially now where it seems to be accelerated, is that we get these ideas and they seem great, and then people jump on the bandwagon who may not have the right motives in place for what they're doing, and they sell things, and then you end up with, like you've mentioned, where we get some tragic results
Yeah.
from them because they're not properly managed. I think
Mm.
with anything to do, well, with anything really, you need oversight.
Uh,
You need validation. And if you just use it, it's a bit like psychometric testing, isn't it? I suppose that's the only time I've been exposed to something like this, is doing, what is your type online and doing one. But then they're okay on their own. They give you a rough idea, but they're not in any way definitive.
no.
And it's only if you involve human beings after it to validate what has been said and to offer advice on it. Um, yeah, I think I'm thinking on the fly here, and that's just my thoughts at this moment.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing that unsettles me about it, and I could seem like or sound like very much the old man having a whinge about it, because the AI race certainly isn't slowing down, and let's face it, it's not going anywhere.
Wow.
Right? It's not going anywhere. But my initial exposure to the use of an AI service came in terms of the cognitive offloading, which I've harped on about for quite some time now. And for those of you that aren't aware what it is, essentially it's the function of providing you a response so you don't have to think in order to achieve the answer. Right? If you can send it your homework that you're working on, and it will do it for you. There is no learning. It is the confusion between, or at least, at the very least, in my opinion, it is the confusion between efficiency and competency and practicality and the ticking of these boxes. And there are more and more studies coming out now that are starting to cite statistics, I believe from MIT and places like it. I would need fact checking on that. That it's essentially dumbing down parts of our interactions, the parts of our
Mm,
brain that struggle to figure things out. That immediate leap towards the comfort of some kind of response or known answer, so I can continue going about my day. And whereas in certain instances, if you're trying to solve a physics equation on your high school test, one could argue that there isn't a lot of fallout from that. But if I'm starting to offload some of my interactions, like my wife's mad at me, chat gpt, what should I do?
mm,
If you're off, and I know people do this, so I'm not just kind of ringing a bell or some kind of siren. People do this, and even if I think it was Simon Sinek that made this point, and it was a great point. It was on his Diary of a CEO episode. Even if you stumble onto the right answer, and your wife in that scenario goes, "What made you think of that?" and you have to go, "Well, Chat GPT told me." You back to square one. You're
mm.
back to square
Yeah.
one in that situation. So the thing that we're seeing from this is the offloading of the struggle with tasks, right? If you need an extra bit of motivational help, what's wrong with hearing a notification that says, get off your backside and go to the gym? Or, if you're using it for meditation, get off your backside and go and sit on your backside in a different place and do your meditation, or whatever it is. That those things are fine. But when it comes to the 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 elements that really only another human being can see, or at least have the awareness of to deal with, or the foresight to say, let me help you with this. A service can't do that, and the hybrid systems is exactly right. So we're back again
Mm,
to giving all of this so that we don't have to. So if I were to pose you like a kind of a blue sky thinking hypothetical,
mm.
because I have sprung this on you, there is something to be said for giving it technical problems. Solve me a math problem, translate
Yeah.
this into my language. Fine, right? Well, it's not fine, but at least it's a little bit more understandable in the day. When it comes to offloading a specifically human problem, how to
Yeah.
handle this emotion or what to do with this thought, blah, blah, blah. Why do you think it is more and more people are inclined to offset that to a service, some kind of bot, rather than talking to another person about it, whomever that might be?
I think it comes down to a basic part of being human is that we want to interact with someone. And where the boundary comes, I think, is where an AI assistant becomes an AI friend. And they are set up, as far as I understand, and probably more so in some areas, to respond to you and to talk to you. I believe, I've never used it, but I believe even ChatGPT will give an answer back to you in words rather
Yeah,
than
yeah,
in type. And I think it's interesting from the study that you sent to me that one of the things on there, it says it's more applicable to younger people. Now, there's a lot of issues with that in my mind, is that they are very malleable. I mean, I think the current thinking is we're not really fully formed as an adult, as the top we're going to be till we're about 23,
yeah,
22, 23.
yeah,
So you've got people under that, and bearing in mind, especially during the pandemic, it's made a lot more people isolated. And I don't know if we've got back to where we were before, but just say there's a lot of younger people isolated who are more impressionable and haven't got a friend. If AI was to progress at the rate it's doing now, would do they see that even now, or in the future, will they see that as a friend rather than an automated voice talking to them?
yeah, yeah. And it's We saw the fallout of that literally post COVID when there was, people having more arguments than they ever did.
Mm,
Not going out to places because they are scared
mm,
of talk, like literal kind of fear about talking to other people. I know it makes some people uncomfortable, but to notch that up to actually being scared is
mm.
something that only having more conversations will get you through. It would need to be
Sure.
in a structured human to human way. But let me give you some of the points that came specifically out of some of these studies. Um, 2025 systematic review in chatbot led exercise interventions showed modest improvements in physical activity, especially when chatbots provided feedback, reminders, and encouragement. Works best for beginners who benefit from accountability nudges. And we're back here.
Mm,
We're back here in terms of
mm.
the nudges. The effects weaken if chatbot responses feel too generic, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because some could argue that, well, you can program it not to be generic. Great, you only give it a short subset of of
Mm,
of of tools to pull from. It's going to cycle through them if you're using it enough. So genericisms are going to come back. Other health domains, in terms of diet and weight management, early trials show mixed results. Chatbots help with logging behaviors, but rarely sustain motivation beyond a few weeks. Mental
yeah.
health, chatbots providing CBT style prompts
Wow.
reduce symptoms slightly, but personalization and safety oversights are critical. And here are some of the mechanisms at play. You've got a social presence illusion. Humans are treating chatbots as social actors,
There you go.
which triggers accountability. Then you've got the behavioral economic lens. So bots are reducing friction, so there's no scheduling, they're always available, and increase the frequency of micro interventions. Then you've got the neuroscience angle. Regular prompts tap into habit loops, as in the cue, action, reward, and it reinforces behaviors at the right time. Now, all that is to say that on paper, that sounds okay, right?
Mm.
But
Yeah, maybe.
exactly, but it's two dimensional.
Yeah.
It's two dimensional and governed entirely by the individual. So
Mm,
if you like say for example you are struggling with motivation for whatever
mm,
reason that is, put that ambiguous thing on the table, and your service says to you, is it because you don't get enough sleep? And you
mm,
know that it's because you abuse some kind of substances, or you are constantly overthinking, so you're wired and up to the early hours, so you don't get a good hour's sleep. Whatever it is that might put the lack of sleep as the end game, you feed it the confirmation, then it can't tell you what these other precipitating factors are because it's only
mm,
working on the information you give it, right? And these are the dangers. Like, it
mm.
reminds me of the Google effect
Yeah.
in terms of that cognitive bias. If humans don't have the foresight or the know-how to challenge their own opinions, to challenge their own biases, because they're so
Mm,
frightfully concerned about any kind of disagreement or any
mm,
kind of difficulty, then they're going to seek to confirm, to take the easy way, the comfortable way. And the concern for me as a human in this situation is that the more people we have that don't have the capacity, the wisdom, the knowledge, the insight for emotional regulation, it's I shudder to think the kind of interactions we're going to have moving forwards. There you go. Then is another critical thinking measure. If you've got a magic wand
mm.
and you could wave your magic wand, how do we increase the appeal of hybrid use of these kinds of things rather than just the service or whatever it is do your thinking for you?
All right, that's a really good question. It's coming. We can't get away from that fact. And in some ways, I should be rejoicing because I'm now getting people coming to me saying we need to teach our people how to be able to talk to other people because
Yeah,
all they do is talk to AI. I work
yeah,
through AI. So it's good in that regard, but I think regulation is the only answer, and maybe regulation in about how it's used. I mean, I went to a restaurant recently, not a restaurant, but like a fast food restaurant, and sat at a table for what seemed like half an hour. It probably wasn't that.
right.
And with staff sort of standing around, but no one came up to me. And so I went up and asked one of them what the score was, and they said, "Well, you have to order it online." So you physically had to go on there was and then I saw it because I wouldn't be looking for that. There was a thing on the table with a QR code, and you
Yeah,
just scanned the QR code, and then you picked what you wanted, and they brought it out. And so I said to them, well, I don't really want to do that. I'm old. I don't know how to do that. Can
yeah.
you take my order? And he sighed and
You
took
imagine
my
Kieran
order.
hearing that?
Yeah, and that is a slippery slope.
It is.
It's a slippery slope. But on the other hand, if you think about it, um, and it's not nothing new. When I go back to my younger days, and the girls used to get magazines, the boys as well, but the girls mainly got magazines with "How can you make a boy like you?" and and this type of thing. And all we've done is automate that now, haven't we? And we've actually added um, a human side to it, where a person can talk to you.
Yeah.
And so I can see the appeal of that, but all the time we have to strive for a balance. And it seems to me that if it was an hourglass, I think we're we're on the thin end of an hourglass, and the AI, if we're not careful, would become the main focus of it. And it's not for people of our age, I don't think, but I would worry about is people of a younger age
Yeah.
who seem to be what they call digital natives who've
Yeah.
grown up with this stuff all around them would seem to be able to accept it more. But are their brains able then, at some stage, is their brain going to become a bit scrambled and they fail to notice the difference between AI advice and human advice?
That's a bloody good point. That's a bloody good point. Julie mentions in French, when people use AI to write a text, you see it immediately as it's totally different from their usual way of writing, even if they modify it to match their way of writing. And like
Mm,
the whole thing, it it baffles me that there isn't an understanding of, or there doesn't seem to be, at least, an
mm,
understanding en masse of balance in this area. We've all heard about balanced diets, balanced exercise,
mm.
balanced driving. You don't hammer it 50 mile an hour in first gear the whole way. There's balance towards everything. It's virtually Newtonian, and yet we seem to exist in a I don't know, some kind of cultural bubble where we're
Mm.
pushed more and more to, oh, it's all right, AI will do it. Oh, it's all right, AI will do it. And
Yeah.
what I don't
And
think. Oh, go on. Sorry.
no, no, no. All I was just my thought process. I've just got a new computer, new laptop that's actually got a co-pilot button on it. It's actually in there. So that's
Mm.
how. And every time I turn a computer on, because it's on the taskbar,
Yeah.
it comes up and it says, "How are you today, Bob?" And it actually has started when I put something in to sort of for whatever, it actually says it in the context of what I was asking it about yesterday.
Right.
So at the moment, I'm writing a course
Yeah.
for the motor industry, and it actually tailors the answers to sales. And I've also noticed that it seems to be able to, because it comes up now and asks if it wants to would you like me to write this email for you?
Okay.
And things like that.
Yeah.
And I can see, for me, no, but I could see in certain instances that would become quite dangerous.
Yeah. 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 Pascal says AI is a wonderful tool, but it is a tool. It is a tool,
Exactly.
and the thing that I was going to say is, um, if you don't use the parts of your brain, your behavior, those governing responses that control your ability to process an interaction and have a productive conversation or work on a task for longer than 5 minutes or whatever it is. If you don't use those
Yeah.
systems, they will atrophy.
Yes.
they like they will atrophy. um
Yeah.
and that's the baffling part of it. They're the illusion of convenience, and
Yeah.
like I wouldn't have a video recording of my kids play. I would go and watch my kids play, in the same sense that I wouldn't give a chatbot interaction my ability to learn one of the languages that I'm trying, or to understand some piece of behavioral nuance. Or if you were to
Mm.
feed one of these meta analyses to and go, summarize this for me, great. How in God's name do I know what it's leaving out in order to achieve that kind of summary? So
Yeah.
my understanding of it is potentially harmed iteratively, and
Mm.
that is the allure that frustrates me, because there have been reports, as we hinted at the start, of a couple of young people taking their
Yeah.
own lives, sadly, because they treated these services as therapists, and the services don't have the technical capacity to be able to flag these things when they come up and provide some kind of duty of care in that way.
Yeah.
So it's it's something that I will. It's a hill I'm quite prepared to die on. Is
Yeah.
what it is. AI is great. All of the thumbnails that you ever see on this podcast, they're all AI, all of them. I
Mm.
do, if I had the money, I'd hire someone to do it for me, because I would rather talk to somebody to try and
There you go.
achieve the image that I want. But this is the tool angle of, I need a passable thumbnail, so bosh, there you go, in those interactions. But if you're going to pass on knowledge, if you're gonna tell a story, if you're gonna have an interaction, if something is capable of mimicking a human being, doesn't mean that every single facet that you get from human interaction is going to be the same. And don't get me wrong, humans irritate me more and more each day. So I seem like an odd advocate for the encouragement of interaction, but it's this compounding error of critical thinking and behavioral interaction that's
Yeah.
being offloaded more and more into these dopamine bites that confirm biases, and lather, rinse, repeat. It's sad. It is it's sad. Here we go. A couple more comments come in. Julie says, sadly, FAFO doesn't any longer exist. Let's for the hour of the day, let's call it screw around and find out. If
Mm.
if you're unaware of the acronym, and Pascal saying that it brings on other topics, that is the lack of therapist in the health field. So
Yeah.
current experiments suggest that it does have a potential in workplace learning reinforcement, in
Yeah.
habit coaching, in language practice. But the key is, from all of these meta-analyses that we found, is to offload it completely to a chatbot is only harming the
Yeah.
interaction of human. It has to be at least hybrid. And if AI isn't going away, let's stop talking about the convenience that's involved, and let's talk more about the benefits of living in this shell that you're in. you
Yeah.
know, it's yeah, it's It's a sad thing. So you're not tempted to give Copilot all of your data and information and all of your
No,
thoughts and ideas for the sake of it being able to write this for you? Then no.
no. What one thought that's come to my mind is that it's these large language models that they're basing it on. It's the reliability of those as well.
Yeah.
So if you just say, for instance, you were that way inclined, you said to an AI bot, uh,
Oh,
give me some phrases to influence people.
I'm gonna pop you on, Bob. Someone's just at my door. Keep going.
Oh yeah, if you were to put someone one of these AI chatbots, you're going to feed them, just say the six pillars of influence, Robert Cialdini or whatever his name is, and uh, Darwin
Mm,
and all other stuff, you might get a very different result. And the way it's approached it, if you asked it, and it's getting its information from, say, the ellipsis manual, which is total crap, and something else, you're going to get two different, completely different things. And I think that's the danger of it, is because even the AI, which I probably most people, younger people maybe, this don't even see, is it says at the bottom, this can be wrong. And that's the thing. It's a very strange disclaimer that Copilot's got on it, but just remember this information might be wrong.
let me
And
keep.
and
Yeah.
so the advice that they're giving you may be wrong. And I think I'm probably got something in my memory of this. It's probably from a science fiction film or something, or someone talking to artificial intelligence, and it's telling them to go and kill themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's for real. Or maybe it is for real, but I'm not. But I can see where that would, where you are a lonely adolescent, say, and you got spots and your girlfriend's not talking to you, and you feel your life's at an end, like we all do when we're about, well, definitely I did when I was about 15. And you say to it, and this is all my problems, and it says to you, well, go and end it then.
Yeah.
And that's the issue we've got,
Yeah.
is that they haven't got compassion. And some humans don't have, but at
Nobody
least
does.
most 90% of humans do have at least some compassion.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's sad that it's sad that it compounds this idea that compassion is a sign of weakness. I mean, it isn't. Like, if anything, you have to be a lot stronger as a human to take on board a potentially difficult and challenging opinion in order to think your way through it. There's a great deal of resolve that's involved in that. Um,
Mm.
Pascal's got a couple of comments, but it just reminded me with the whole thing of the LLMs possibly being wrong and the like. One of my apps that I use for languages simulates conversation, so I can get a lot of practice speaking. But then after you go through a conversation, it will ask you questions about what it is that you've just spoken about. And let me see if I can pop this on the big screen so you can all see it, just to show you the kind of rooted issues that an AI service can have. Can I tip that down? Oh no,
Very
it's
good.
yeah, it's very blurred. So it's got uh, it's a Dutch conversation, but it's essentially got two people. So there's two lines at the top. One saying hello, how are you, and the other saying I'm fine. I'm Anna. Right? It's in Dutch, and then the question is, what is Anna's name? And the only choice it gives you is Anna. I couldn't get over it. I got a similar one for the French class the other day. What is Paul's name? It's either Paul, Pierre, Jean, or Marie. And you get the free piece of dopamine for that. It's glorious. Okay, here we
Yeah.
go. Last few comments. Um, Pascal again. Plus, people forget that AI is getting. Where is it? That's jumped up for somebody else commenting. There it is. AI is getting dumber and dumber every day. It's based on probabilities, and if the data is wrong, then it learns that and promotes the wrong information. AI triggers one of the biggest flaws in human beings, in that people are lazy and AI
Yeah.
is fast. And
Yeah.
Julie says that she tested it with asking about a rare medication for which she already had all the answers. AI answers were totally wrong to a point where it was dangerous for one's health.
Yeah.
And it's a concerning situation that we're in. And now, guys, I don't want you to think that we're just moaning. AI is a glorious tool. If used with care, if used with concern, if used with activity, you can't be passive in these kinds of situations when it comes to the understanding for your own emotional makeup, for the understanding of others. What a productive conversation truly is. Put out the facts and figures that are wrong as well, the kind of psychological feedback it's giving you without your proper capacity for questioning the data that it's showing you. It's maladaptive behaviors all the way. So just something to be aware of in terms of how you move forward. Bob, any final thoughts?
Well, I'm just going to go away after this and talk to Copilot and ask how I did. But apart from that, no. I mean, I I'm reluctantly involved with AI, but we all are, whether
Yeah,
we like it or not. And the thing about it is to use our brains for what they're supposed to be used by question everything we see, assume nothing blindly, challenge everything. And if we do that, I got a text this morning saying that my Apple Wallet has been compromised. Um, but it hasn't.
okay.
And we're all going to get them, and it plays on this fear that we have, and that's the downside of it is you can bet your life that there are people somewhere, maybe in Eastern Europe or wherever, who are sitting at computers as we speak, trying to find ways to leverage this to get money out of you.
100%. 100%. So with that in mind, folks, we will love you and leave you. Tell us anything about your experience with chatbot services, and if you've seen any of this in the wild, the more information we have about this, the better informed we are. And we can only recommend that you read the meta-analyses if you have the time to be able to do so. We'll cite them down below, but they are quite big, as all meta-analyses are. So I'd set yourself out some time to be able to do it. And we'll love you and leave you. We'll see you next time. All right, guys.
Bye.